What's up, my triple oven freaks? Well, I recently had a YouTube subscriber drop off an engine here with me. And the reason it ended up here, I'm about to show you why you do not wait till your water pump is making noise. All you guys out there are riding these XCR 800s, your Ultras, your XCR SPs, your XCR 700s, with the same style oil or water pump on them, and everybody's waiting until they make noise to do anything about them. I'm about to show you why a $200 rebuild now will save you thousands in the end, and I'm not exaggerating at all. Tim, my good friend Tim, builds these pumps for around 200 bucks. I don't want to quote his prices because it fluctuates on bearing costs and his mechanical seal cost stuff, so the price kind of fluctuates here, but it's real close to that $200 mark. We could probably use that as a fair dollar amount to say what you'll save in the long run of having to rebuild your complete engine because of your water pump failing. So the old pumps, we're all riding these sleds with a 20-some-year-old pump on them, thinking life's great, the sled runs, why worry about something that's wearing out right now? It's called your water pump. And when the bearings go out, the little pieces of ball bearings travel through your engine because they're small enough. They fall apart, they come out of the pump, they go through the pump gear, they get mashed into the pump gear, they end up down the crankcase, and they end up through all your ports and stuff, and they end up in top of the engine, dangling around in your pistons and your heads and stuff. It's bad news right here. And Eric brought it to me, and first he took the pump off, his water pump off the sled. He just bought the sled and had a bad water pump. Took it off, brought it to Tim. Tim shortly messaged him and said, you might want to open up your engine because there's little bits of ball bearings stuck in your water pump gear. And I have a feeling it traveled through your engine. So Eric contacted me and see if I'd take the project on, and I told him, I don't normally work on other people's stuff. I used to all the time. Not my cup of tea anymore because I got my own crap to work on all the time. But the season was kind of winding down. All my junk sleds were running and stuff, and the can thing was kind of slowing up a little bit too. I figured out people got what they wanted. I had a little bit of an inventory built up on them too. I'm like, yeah, timing's perfect. Eric brought it to me last Wednesday. Well, once you know it, I got busier than a frickin' one-legged dog in an ass-kicking contest again. And so a week later, let's fast forward a week. So I did PB spray all of his head nuts the day he showed up with it, and we pulled, or his cylinder nuts. Them are notorious for rusting on. So I sprayed all of them with PB. We pulled his heads off right away. He wanted me to pull the whole engine down. I said, no, them nuts are really rusted, and I would rather have some PB sit on them. It just makes life so much simpler. In fact, I've taken off most of the nuts already, but I want to show you my little trick of getting them loose. And a lot of people already know this trick, but some of you who watch these videos don't know some of the things on getting into a spot like this and getting it loose. But the PB does wonders. If you let it sit for a week, most of these nuts, after I cracked them loose, I spun them off with my fingers, and they were as rusty as an old beat up car when it showed up here last Wednesday. But so most of that stuff's loose. But we pulled Eric's heads off, and right away I'm like, ugh, these cylinders, I ain't liking the looks of them, and there's dents in the top of every single piston, and every single head looks like this underneath, all peckered because of that water pump bearing traveling around, the pieces from the water pump traveling around inside of its engine. On the 96 engine, when they had seals on either side of that driving gear, that would be your saving grace right there on that bottom end, because if anything came out of the water pump, it couldn't travel around your engine because there was seals on either side of that gear that would trap all that debris down here. But in 97, when they went to where your oil injection lubricates this gear, now it's all open. That stuff can get in there and disperse is what we figured happened. And unless he's got another bearing going on here. But that is what we're suspecting is the culprit, because the water pump bearings that Tim said the cages were completely broken open and all the little balls were gone. They went somewhere. And my best guess right now is they went through this engine. So let's tear into this old girl. I got these couple nuts to get loose. So here's my trick. Some of you probably already know this. Take 2 wrenches, put them together like this. Now your wrench is twice as long, and it's easier to get. I didn't touch this nut yet. That's me. That was a tight nut. I wanted to show you guys how easy it works. using those 2 wrenches to crack some stubborn. I've had these nuts in here so stubborn before. Like I said, this week of PB, I've never taken the time to let PB sit on a nut for a week. Never once in my life have I had that much time to let it soak. But look at how much easier that is by just doubling that up. But anyways, that's my little tip and trick on getting to these stubborn nuts. But look at how easily these actually spin off. Like I said, a week. I let them soak for a week. And it really, really helped, I think. Pistons are scored so badly. Just, I don't know if you can see that scoring on them, but look at how bad they're scored. Both sides are like that. Not good, is what I say, not good. The rings even have grooves in them. Not good. This one, PTO side's definitely the worst, but here's the intake side of the piston. And there's the exhaust side. Usually the exhaust side's the one that looks like this. The intake side does not usually look as bad as that one does. This center one is really bad too. I mean, these, you're looking at 3 unrunnable pistons. I mean, I would personally, some people may in a pinch, but I would personally never run these pistons. Never. These cylinders, I'm gonna have my engine guy look at the cylinders, but I would personally not run them. Let's get all the pistons off and we'll pull all this apart and we'll flip it over. Alright guys, I got all my puller rigged up on the flywheel here. I'm gonna pull that off. I made this puller myself. You could buy these, but I was out here one Saturday morning, I had to pull a flywheel. I'm like, I don't have a puller, and I made one. Made one with what I had, and I've been using it since. I've probably pulled 50 flywheels with this puller. And I just used the bolts from the recoil housings. They seem to be the right length. Part out so many engines that I just use the bolts from the recoil housing. Works good. The key is on pulling these flywheels, you put every single bolt in. You need to have every bolt into the flywheel. Don't use like a harmonic puller with 3 bolts. Never gonna work. And then you want to look around and make sure all your bolts are in the exact same length and your puller's square. And then you put your impact on it, you cross your fingers, and you hope for the best that everything comes the way it's supposed to come apart. Every time it comes off like that. Bam! Love it! There's the flywheel. Love that when it goes like that. So I'm going to pull this apart. And I'm going to get this case split, so I'm going to pause the video again because it's getting kind of long. I want to talk about the cabin funmobile a little bit too on the bumper that I'm building on it. All right, folks, we're down to the business end of this motor. I had to wet my whistle. God, ever since I was sick a while back, I have this cough. It just does not want to leave my body. So, let's listen. There's always got to be that one that's a lot louder than the other ones. All right. That's no good. That's not what you want to hear. Here's what you want to hear. Listen. Oh, wait. Turn your TV up. Yep. It's spinning. That's a good bearing. That's a not so good bearing. That's a junk bearing. Not so good, not so good, not so good, not so good, not so good. Eric's not going to be happy. I'm going to have to give him the bad news. I'm probably going to call him tonight and break this to him. I don't want him to see this on YouTube because that would really hurt. That would hurt to see it when everybody else is seeing it. He's going to want to know about this ahead of time. So I'll be making a call to Eric here soon and let him know. It's not something I would run. Definitely not. When you're down this far and you're looking at an engine, a used running engine, they're going for $1,800. Yeah, I said 1,800. So when you're at this point, you gotta do what you gotta do to keep this motor alive. But unfortunately, he's got a lot of things he's looking at here. Cylinders, pistons, crank, cylinder heads. What's a guy do? But all you're gonna be reusing on this thing is the case. Oh, that's a tough call. I'm a guy that saves everything. I would replace everything on there and say, I saved it. But that's for Eric to decide. So here's the fun mobile, the cabin fun mobile. I've been working on the front bumper, the front winch bumper for it. And I just think this thing is coming along just sexy. It's got a little bit of gorgeous to it. I'm up to 32 pieces so far in this bumper. And I can't take credit for this design. I'm not gonna take credit for it. I seen this YouTube channel, Dirt Perfect. He's a very crafty guy. He used to be on Blimp and Jeeps, I think was the other channel he was on, then he branched off and now he's doing his own deal. So Dirt Perfect is where I seen this bumper build from. Mine's gonna look an awfully light like his. Some differences, but not much. So I'm giving him all the credit for the design. He did a nice look. I like the look of it, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna build the same thing. We all do it. We all see something that looks nice, you build it to look like it. I might have changed something, but really if you watch this video, it's about the same thing. But I'm proud of what I got going on. Like I said, I'm at 32 pieces. I still got probably a half a dozen more pieces to go yet to fill the bumper completely in. I did 14 gauge on the outers out here, and I'm gonna do some gusseting in behind. I'm gonna do a frame tie down to there. The center section is 1/4 and 3/16. I didn't wanna put a ton of weight on the front of it because I'm gonna stay with the steel cable for right now. That's what I got, that's what I'm gonna use. I'm not gonna go put a synthetic rope on here just because everybody else in the neighborhood is doing it. I'm just gonna stay at the steel cable. The winch works fine the way it is. A 9,000 pound winch. It's got me out before. I've had that on other Jeeps that I've had. I'm gonna stick with it. And this is where we're at on it. I do have the 2.5 inch lift in it, running like a 20 inch tall tire, or 29.5 inch tall tire, I believe it is. But like I said, I got stuck with it a couple times this winter. Time for a couple upgrades on it. I'm gonna be doing a custom built bumper on the back of it also. So just been kind of doing this as a little bit of fill in here and there when I'm not taking apart engines, building cans, building snowmobiles, and partying it up. Holy Christ, did we have a hell of a party here on Friday night. Jesus, me and the wife turned 50, so we had to throw a bash, and boy did we ever. So the water pump deal, Tim.precisionpumps@gmail.com. I'll put it in the descriptions too. All I can say, guys, is do your pump before you have to do all this. It's gonna happen. Your pump is going to go out. All the OEM pumps out there, they're still on the engines, they're timing out. The antifreeze's been in the engine for 20 some years, the pump's been running for 20 some years, the bearings, the seals, all that's been exposed to that antifreeze for all them years, heats up and down. It's time to do it. Do it before you have to replace your engine, because I guarantee there's a lot of engines out there that went to shit because the water pump first failed and then the engine went out. So, moral of the story, get your pump done. I can put that description there for Tim.precisionpumps@gmail.com. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for the subs. That project, it'll keep moving forward. So, thanks a lot, guys.